Hi, this is Jarrett Watson from HobbiesandRC.com. Today we're going to take a closer look at what's inside the box of the miniature aircraft Whiplash 90 size electric flybarless helicopter. Okay, we got the box open. First thing you'll see here is your nice Miniature Aircraft USA pit towel. Up next we have the frame set. As you guys can see, this is going to be a pretty good sized helicopter. We'll have a closer look at the frames in the next segment. Here's your Miniature Aircraft Whiplash manual. See, it's composed of a lot of SolidWorks renderings like most manuals are. Calls out the parts a little bit better than the Furion and the Fury 55, I think. A little easier to follow. And here in this big white box we have the Canomod pre-painted canopy. We'll have a closer look at this too, but I'll go ahead and get it opened up for you guys. As you can see, a beautiful Canomod canopy. And here is the box containing the landing gear struts, the Velcro battery straps. Here are the long parts, tail boom supports, push rod, and I'm sure the torque tube's in there as well. This box is just a filler box. And the majority of the kit is contained in this box right here, as you can see, packaged securely for shipping. One small filler box, and most of your kit components. We will have a closer look at all these in the next segment. Okay, here we're going to have a closer look at the carbon frame set. These are sold as left and right, so there are two different frame sets. It's kind of a bummer, but you know, they got to do what they got to do. As you can see, the PIM nuts are already installed, which is very convenient for mounting your servos. Very nice. As you can see, they are rather large compared to most helicopters, but it gives you plenty of room to adjust your batteries and do maintenance on a helicopter. It makes things a lot easier being the larger size. Plus, it's very easy to see in the air. Okay, here we're going to have a closer look at some of the carbon frame parts. These are mainly for the fuselage of the helicopter. Right here you have your front radio tray. This is where you mount your receiver, your voltage regulator, receiver battery if you're using one. This right here is your battery mount. It's pretty long in size. It's for mounting your two 6S batteries. As you can see, you have 6 screws securing it to the helicopter, which those are going to make this tray mount in there. It's not going to be able to slide out or anything. But the kit does come with Velcro straps to secure your batteries. Here we have your speed controller mount, much way in the same as the battery tray. You have 6 fasteners securing this to some aluminum standoffs in the kit, so it makes getting to your speed controller and securing it or making adjustments to it that much easier. Here you have some of your servo mounts and your smaller frame components. It's just typical carbon, nothing really much to write about here. Here you have your anti-rotation bracket, and that's made of carbon fiber. Here you have your X-brace, which supports the middle and upper bearing blocks, and your gyro tray. Okay, here we have our landing gear parts bag. As you can see, there are several items combined in this bag, but most importantly, I was wanting to show you guys the landing gear. As you can see, the landing gear strut legs, there's 4 of them. No more 2-piece landing gear. This is very cool, guys. It's very strong, and it's secured on by 1 bolt and 1 peg to the side frame, making landing gear swaps real easy. Also on the bottom of the where the skid tube is, we have the pads. If you like doing sliding autos on pavement, it makes the gear last a lot longer. Here we have the carbon fiber servo retaining plates, just some miscellaneous grommets for the canopy and a few other things. Just some miscellaneous brackets, control balls, and these links. Guys, if you're used to flying Align helicopters or any other helicopters, these links are awesome. They don't wear out, they're very strong, and they're double-sided, so you can pop them on either direction. They say that one side is larger, but you can pop it on both ways, and it'll fit just fine. Here we have our Miniature Aircraft One Wrap Velcro. Pretty cool. It's got the logo imprinted on the Velcro. Here we have your skid tubes. Nice satin gray color. Here we have the forward tail push rod. This is just a piece of carbon that slips over the tail push rod. And you see we have our 4 battery Velcro straps for securing the batteries to the helicopter. Okay, here we're going to have a look at our rotor head assembly. First, we have our aluminum CNC machine blade grips. The bearings are installed. I would go ahead and take those apart and lube the thrust bearings with some tri-flow grease. Here's your flybarless blade pitch arms. They're completely replaceable, sold separately from the blade grips. A couple push rods. Here's your 8mm spindle. And your flybroiless head block assembly, it's pretty cool. It's got a nice little lightning area to make the whole assembly a little bit lighter. And you can see right here, you have your Whiplash laser etched in the center of the head block. Here's your swash driver arms, your swash driver links, a couple of pins to secure the links to the arms. That's just your other blade grip assembly. Here we have our gray plastic ball links. Again, very high quality, makes this kit awesome. Here's your head button, your clear dampeners, and your blue dampeners. Right now the manual doesn't reflect what durometer the clear ones are, but the blue ones are in fact 90 degree durometer dampers. Here's your CNC machine swash plate assembly and your 10mm main shaft packaged in your protective sleeve. Okay, here we're going to have a closer look at the tail components of the Whiplash. These should all be the same for the gas, glow, and electric versions. Here we have our forward tail transmission assembly. As you can see, this is one machined aluminum piece. Should be very strong and should keep flexing down to a minimum. That's sometimes the reason these gears strip, is this thing flexes around, but you see we have a nice strong boxed in shape which could keep the gear mesh very nice and tight. Here we have our open tail rotor gearbox assembly. As you can see, it's very smooth, full ball bearing supported, and the shaft is replaceable independent of the gears. Just take out a couple set screws and slide a new shaft in. Again, the machining is very nice, a very high quality component. And here we have our forward and aft tail boom mounts. These are actually the same. It's worth mentioning right here, these are a pinch type design to hold the boom in place. You can over tighten these and it will crack and break the boom. I've done it before. Again, these don't have to be Gorilla tight, just snugged and Loctited down. Here is your horizontal fin mount / boom support bracket. There is no horizontal fin mount included with this kit, but these are where your boom supports mount to the boom. This right here is a carbon plate that ties in between the two forward and aft boom supports. Keeps everything structurally boxed in, and also as a mount for, gyro sensors or speed controllers or whatever you can fit back there. Here we have our CNC machine aluminum tail rotor grips. Bearings are already installed. Here we have our steel tail hub assembly, our carbon fiber bell crank mount, and our aluminum bell crank. There's also a PIM nut installed in here, so that's very nice. Make sure you keep an eye on it, make sure it stays put. And here's your all aluminum tail pitch slider assembly. The slider assembly is all aluminum and brass, minus the plastic links. Those are still plastic, makes them easy fix in the event if you crash. And here is your vertical carbon fiber fin. Also here we have our hardware bag. I'm not going to go into much detail here, just all metric hardware and a few star washers and lug nuts. Okay, here we're going to have a closer look at the mainframe components for the Whiplash. Several cool features here really stand out to me, and Miniature really done their homework. For one is the motor mount assembly. As you can see, they probably took every available motor for this helicopter and made bolt hole dimensions for it. There's 3mm holes, there's 4mm holes, all different spaces. As you can see, this is one machine piece of CNC'd aluminum, which is very cool. It's just a very nice thought. Also worth noting, this helicopter does not have a one-way on the main gear. The actually has a sprag bearing incorporated into the drive pinion, which is pretty cool. Right here, instead of having the one-way on the main gear assembly, it's right here inside the pinion. This just slips right in here, and it greatly reduces the load on the bearing, especially with the bigger electrics. This is very important. Also here you have your counterbearing support for your motor to really lock that gear mesh in place. Here we have our upper and lower bearing blocks. This is our third lower bearing block. This is our CCPM servo mounts. These kind of tie into the frames and make a bridge type assembly for direct eCCPM control. This is our main gear mount. Like I said before, there's no one way in this. This just simply mounts the main gear to the hub. Here you have your basic standoffs, mounts, and your spacers. This is your tail bell crank assembly. This actually pivots vertically instead of like horizontal like most helicopters. This is your tail bell crank mount, two tail link control balls, and some breakaway type canopy standoffs. And lastly, we have a miscellaneous hardware bag. Comes with a drill bit for some of the steps inside the manual, and like I said before, just a bunch of metric hardware, block washers, and other various items. Okay, here we're going to cover the long parts of the tail that are included in the kit. These are packaged separately from the tail components. First up, we have our two carbon fiber boom supports. These are pre-assembled with aluminum ends. They're JB welded in place, ready for use. Here we have our aluminum torque tube, our rear tail push rod assembly, our 22mm aluminum tail boom. Here's the torque tube bearing support assemblies. You will need to install the O-rings over these to slip these in place. A little bit of tri-flow down the boom will aid in inserting these. Here we have our male torque tube fittings. You simply just thread those in, put a little Loctite on there and lock them in place for the torque tube. Our 2 miniature aircraft plastic ball links and 4 tail rotor push rod support guides. Okay, here we have our pre-painted Canamod Whiplash canopy. As you can see, this is very nicely done. It's very light. It still does feel very strong as well. There are no holes in it, so you will have to drill your own holes, which should be pretty easy because you have a lot of room to play around with. Just set it on the helicopter and get it where you like it and just drill your holes. You can see it's wonderfully done. It's painted by Canamod. Looks very nice for a very nice model. Okay, we just had a closer look at what's inside the box of the Miniature Aircraft USA Whiplash 90 size electric flybarless helicopter. This kit is amazing, guys. The parts, the machining, everything is second to none. Combine that with Miniature Aircraft's customer service and you got a real winner. If you guys are looking for a new 90 size electric kit, I would strongly consider checking this one out. They're available at hobbiesandrc.com. Again, I'm Jarrett Watson. Thanks for watching.
Cool Whip? Cool Whip, yeah. You mean Cool Whip. Yeah, Cool Whip. Cool Whip. Cool Whip. Cool Whip. Cool Whip. You're saying it weird. Why are you putting so much emphasis on the H? What are you talking about? Just saying it. Cool Whip.